you said the idea that bodybuilding or powerlifting cannot improve athleticism is lazy and inaccurate. I'm going to start here. Can you explain that?
Let's start with the argument. That argument is normally portrayed where you are grabbing a single anecdote, a single example of a powerlifter or a bodybuilder. One example that's been really popular lately was that video of Larry Wheels sprinting where like his head and spine doesn't move at all. And they're like, look, powerlifter guy, no run good, is essentially like the logic.
That's the argument,
right?
Yeah.
And cool, you found a person where powerlifting didn't serve them in that context.
It's not even that powerlifting didn't serve them, they just didn't train it.
That's what I was going to get to. It's like taking a physics test without studying physics.
Yeah.
Right? Oh, your calculus didn't help you there, did it, bro? And it's like, there is some overlap, but you got to learn physics to take the physics test, right? And for someone who's in physics, what do you know? Also taking calculus at the same time might have some transfer that's really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more of the same. I think that to sell their own programs, people will point out that, oh, we're different than that powerlifting and bodybuilding. Look how this didn't help this person. You don't want to end up like them, do you? But with me, with these bands and these kettlebells and this cool twirl that I do, that'll get you ready for sprinting. You know, in reality, I like to really just focus on like, okay, what tissues are we loading? What adaptation is occurring? How do we know? Right? So there's the increases in performance over time. And then also having the specificity to the task that we are going to judge them on or that they compete in or whatever, right? So if the person is sprinting, you know, if we want to pull up anecdotes, I've got a bunch of videos on my phone of Noah Lyles hitting power cleans, hitting squats, and I think he's pretty good at sprinting, right? But he is also sprinting at the same time.
Yeah.
So with those arguments, I just think people need to have somebody willing to call out the absurdity of that argument. And I just don't want to, I could, and there have been times where I resort to just like, oh, you're going to pick an anecdote, I'm going to pick an anecdote. And like, sure, we can like fight fire with fire like that. And it might even like do better in terms of a post. But I think that like effective training, if you've got somebody prepping somebody like with, you know, GPP for a sport, or maybe they just train jujitsu recreationally or whatever, and they've got elements of strength training, they've got some conditioning, they've got some plyos, potentially some form of sprinting in there. That is just like a really well-rounded way to improve general qualities that then that person will apply in whatever context that they want to. Those are the things that are transferable. There's a lot of things that people like to think are transferable that are not. Coordination is one of those. Balance is one of those. Those things, like when you're training balance and it's like a bell up kettlebell press and you're balancing on something, it is just the specific coordination to that task. Your inner ear is not functioning any better from that, right? It could also be something like surfing, right? You're just coordinating that task. But what are we coordinating? We're coordinating the hardware that we have that we build through GPP. We are coordinating the muscles, and the CNS is telling them just how hard or not to contract at different points through the process of learning and coordination. You improve the capacity of those muscles, and they can be more finely tuned by that nervous system. So I think focusing on that pool of physical qualities and breaking down each one. How important is each one to you? I see that over the last few years, you've made a shift. So I like to look at 4 general physical qualities that encompass the vast majority of what I do as a strength and conditioning coach. We have force production. We have velocity or power. We have flexibility or range. And then we have conditioning, which is energy system targeted work, right? And within each, there are different things we can do. Within velocity, right? There's more impulse based things that we can do, like a power clean or loaded movements. There's more like short ground contacts, things like plyos and things like that, right? All of those will fall into
the general categories.
yeah, exactly. And anything that isn't those four, like, and if you change any of those four qualities, if, for example, you've been working on range and flexibility a bit more, when your body coordinates a motion in jiu-jitsu, you might all of a sudden, if you change that quality, maybe you encounter something like, I don't know, a berimbolo, and you don't like it because you don't have the range for it. And then you change that range and you circle back around, and a year and a half later, someone teaches you a berimbolo, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, this works now, right? Like there are different ways that you can pull from those general qualities. And if you improve them, they might open up more of the sport specific coordination to you. There are people that will sell you on the fact that there are things you can do in the weight room to improve your sport specific coordination. That is largely nonsense. Coordination is very task specific. Balancing on that Bosu ball is not going to, if I've never surfed before and I get really, really good at balancing on a Bosu ball, I'm still starting surfing from day one.
Yeah.
I'm learning a new task. They are different. They're not transferable. And the same is true for any sort of sport. Just because a task looks more like it, you're not getting transfer. We alluded to it a little bit yesterday in our discussion about the constraint-led approach to skill acquisition versus the traditional one. And people within that CLA camp will actually say that rote drilling doesn't even transfer to training with a live opponent. It is maybe at most changing your awareness slightly so that those skills can still emerge and be practiced in the exact context you need it. So if we potentially live in a world where rote drilling of the actual sport doesn't transfer, why do we think that spinning with a kettlebell is going to? Right. It's actually insane when we think about it. Is there anything I could do with you in the weight room before your first day of jiu-jitsu that will allow you on day one to not be a white belt?
Nope.
No. So
you have to train.
Exactly. And the same is true for sprinting. The same is true for all of these different applied physical endeavors. You're going to learn to coordinate what you have from that pool of physical qualities, but we can't get far enough on that spectrum of specificity to ever really move the needle for the task anyway. So train those four qualities at whatever priority works for you, and limiting fatigue to some degree so that you can direct a good amount of your time and effort and energy to training the sport.